Good day, everybody, and welcome to episode 39 of my YouTube video series. And today I'm going to do a video about the R&F Princess Cove project in Johor Bahru, right? The review of the project, the full review. This is not a new project. Actually, I've done a review of this 2.5 years ago, maybe back in during the COVID period. And I'm doing this review again today because to update you of the latest news of this project R&F, which has actually been selling very well in the past few months. I think the developer did almost 30-40 units in the past 2 weeks alone, right? And we have seen a lot of increased interest from Singapore, people based in Singapore to buy in Johor Bahru. And to me, I have a lot of these questions. People tend to ask me this question: what is the best buy, Ryan, that you recommend in Johor Bahru or Iskandar right now? And to me, R&F Princess Cove is by far the clearest project that I think I would tell people that if you want to buy something in JB, this is the one to buy, especially if you're looking at it from an investment perspective, right? And of course, there are some other key reasons. Of course, the main key reason, of course, being the RTS that is being built right now, coming to Johor Bahru, that will be ready in about 3 years' time. So let's go through this video today, right, where I walk you through the R&F Princess Cove project, if you are not familiar with it already, right? And explain why I think this project is a good buy. Okay, so as per usual, let's start off all my YouTube videos with an introduction of myself.
Director of Alpha Marketing at Ryan.
Still in Singapore, Malaysia. So my name is Ryan. Nama saya Ryan.
6,000 incoming supply in Johor. This is
I am writing a thank you for attending today's presentation on Singapore, Malaysia.
So my name is Ryan Khoo. I am a Malaysian. I'm a Singapore PR. I've been in Singapore since 2009. I'm a property investor. First, I own multiple properties in Singapore, Malaysia, especially in Johor. I am also a property agent. I sell real estate in Singapore, in Malaysia as well. I was the author of the book, What's the Big Deal with Iskandar Malaysia? And I used to do a lot of articles and events for real estate related, right? Talking about property investment. I've done talks for Property Guru. Recently in March, I did one in the Marina Bay Sands. I used to write articles for HProp and events also for ST Property, iProperty Malaysia as well. So yeah, I consider myself one of the authorities when it comes to Johor Bahru real estate. Lots of people tend to find me about this kind of topics, right? And recently we've done a lot of videos about property investing, Singapore, Malaysia, and I find that there has been a lot of interest about buying property in Johor Bahru again. So like I said, this video is to address R&F Princess Cove, a project review, which is what I believe to be the best property for Singaporeans to buy today. Okay, so why R&F Princess Cove, right? So so this is a night shot of R&F Princess Cove. Actually, this photo is somewhat old. This was taken during COVID, right? But it's a beautiful shot, right? And you can see if you follow my mouse, this is the phase 1, right? Phase 1 of R&F was completed around 2018, 2019, right? And today there are people living in it. And actually, if you look at this photo alone, you can tell that occupancy actually is not bad, yeah. People have this perception that Johor Bahru property have very poor occupancy, right? There's a ghost town lah, nobody stay in JB lah, but you'll be very surprised that some condos in JB, especially R&F, have quite high occupancy, right? I mean, I've been trying to get a night video, right, of R&F recently to show you all the lights, right, in the apartments of this, and there's really quite a decent number of people staying, right? Very similar to condo or HDB in Singapore, right? Of course, one of the main reasons why R&F is so popular is because it's very near the immigration, right? So lots of people can come to immigration easily. I'll go through this in a bit detail, right? And of course, this building here is the Opera Clubhouse, right? Opera House, sorry, not Clubhouse, Opera House, that was completed. I can't remember when either, but this Opera House, it's water facing, is a unique icon. Looks something like the Sydney Opera House, but not the same. Yeah, smaller as well. And this thing you see under construction is a phase 2. But actually, like I said, phase 2 now looks a lot more different. It's already nearing completion at end of this year, right? So there's phase 1 and phase 2. I'll go a bit more detail later. And of course, in this photo, you cannot really see the RTS which is being built, right? Because this is again a 2 years old, 3 years old photo, in fact. Okay, but R&F, by virtue of its location, right? If you see this map, right, this map shows you the RTS linking Woodlands North right, which is next to Republic Poly, going all the way to Johor Bahru City Centre. So for those of you who don't know, this is the first time you're watching my video, you haven't been watching my previous videos, there is an MRT being built from Woodlands to JB right now. Being built right now, yeah. I mean, some people still think, I thought it was cancelled. No, they don't confuse, yeah. It's not being cancelled. RTS is being built. High-speed rail and RTS are two different projects, right? RTS is basically the name for the MRT from Woodlands to JB. So this one has been built right now, completing in 2026. I'll show you more information later. And the reason why I recommend R&F Princess Cove is because by virtue of location, if you see here, this is where R&F Princess Cove is, right? So if you can see that it has a very close location to the MRT, right? And obviously has very good frontage, very visible from Singapore. Whenever you take the causeway, you drive into Singapore, right? You will see R&F Princess Cove. And furthermore, in the future, when you take this MRT, you will definitely see R&F Princess Cove as well. So there are of course other reasons, right, which I'll go through in detail in this video. But yeah, this is the number one reason why I think R&F Princess Cove is a good buy, simply because of its proximity to Singapore, its proximity to immigration, its proximity to the upcoming MRT station, right, which will make R&F Princess Cove a good rental place. More people want to stay here, especially when MRT is up 3 years from now. Okay, so yeah, so this is another photo, daytime shot, right? So this is the causeway, this is Singapore, the Opera House. In this photo, you can see that phase 2 has been built much higher than the earlier photo. So there's the Opera House here, the Marina Yacht. Okay, yeah, let's go on. So the obvious winner to me, so if you look at the red line more or less represents how the MRT track will cross the causeway. Okay, I will show you some actual construction photos later. Okay, now the other thing is, you will ask me, Ryan, how do I get from R&F to the immigration? So there is actually a link bridge here. If you see my mouse over here, which I've highlighted as the circle in red as well, there's actually a link bridge that has been built by the developer, right? It's covered as sheltered walk. Okay, so sheltered walk from R&F to immigration. The walk is about 650 meters, okay, which is a walkable distance, right? I don't want to say that it's a short walk or a long walk. I mean, 650 meters I feel is acceptable, especially if it's covered, right? So you can walk from the what do you call that, R&F Princess Cove to immigration quite easily, right? Even if there's rain, right? And that will get you to immigration and to the MRT as well in the future. So this is the biggest selling point of R&F today. So like in Singapore, you always buy property that's near to MRT, right? Property that's near to MRT have higher price, higher rentability, right? Everybody understands this, right? So similarly, if I give you a chance in JB to buy the next project that is near to an MRT connecting to Singapore, wouldn't you buy as well? Right? Especially if the property is selling in ringgit, right? In ringgit price, Malaysia price, and not Singapore price. Just let that sink in, right? If you want to buy property in Singapore near MRT, why don't you want to buy a property in JB that's also near to MRT? But this MRT go to Singapore one, not just any MRT in Malaysia. This MRT go to Singapore one. So think about that, right? I think that's the clearest reason why anyone would want to buy this project, R&F Princess Cove. Okay, so yeah, this is a link bridge photo in the daytime, right? So if you see this photo as well, you can see the shopping mall on the lower ground floor, right? Yeah, this is a nighttime shot from the earlier. So like this phase 1, like I said, was completed in 2018, 2019, right? And people ask me, how's the performance of this project today, right? How is the rental like? How are the prices like? Now you'll be very surprised. R&F phase 1 prices didn't drop. I wouldn't say didn't drop at all during the COVID period. While Johor Bahru, lots of projects in Johor dropped in price, right? I'm sure many of you know this, right? Or read in the news or hear from your friends. A lot of projects in Johor, especially high-rise condo, right? Price dropped a lot during COVID, right? During the property downturn that's going on in Malaysia right now. But R&F Princess Cove surprisingly held prices quite well. And in fact, after border opened, right? Border opened when April last year, right? April 2022. After border opened last year, right, we have seen rentals in Johor shot up like crazy. I mean, this is actually a spillover effect from Singapore, right? Now today Singapore property prices are very high, right? Singapore rentals have also gone up a lot, right? I think Singapore is probably one of the fastest growing rentals in the world, right? And a lot of this has caused spillover into JB, because if Singapore rental price go up, people have to downgrade, right, from condos to HDB. Where do people who stay HDB today, where do they go? So a lot of these people have to end up moving to JB, right? I don't know whether you know this, whether you heard of this story before, you read in the news, you hear from your friends, right? But especially like Malaysians working in Singapore, right? Malaysians working in Singapore, a lot of them have been pushed back to stay in JB, right? Some expatriates as well. We see a lot of expatriates coming to JB as well, and rents now are higher than pre-COVID prices right now. If you look at this, I've screenshot this from Facebook, yeah, to show you some of the rental prices today in R&F. Okay, so you can see this one in Chinese, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,800 ringgit, yeah, which is higher than pre-COVID rent. Okay, 2-bedroom, 3,000, and this one doesn't come with car park. Okay, so 1-bedroom, 2,005. Okay, and surprisingly, if you're a property agent, you'll see this statement: no co-broke unit. Means the agent don't want to co-broke. Okay, the agent want direct tenant. Okay, the agent want direct tenant. He want direct only. If you co-broke, I don't want to talk to you, right? So I say again, no co-broke. 1-bedroom, right? 2,004 and only partially furnished, right? Actually, a lot of units are fully furnished as well. Car park, right? 300 ringgit a month. Pay every 6 months. So you have to pay 6 months for car park, right? And actually, right, if you think about it, right, the car park, right, has a higher rental per square foot. So car park is more valuable per square foot, right, compared to the condo itself, right, which is an interesting fact, right? Car park so small only, right, 300 ringgit, right? So, car park 300 ringgit, right? So because people park the car to go to, then they travel to Singapore to work, right? So car parks are expensive, right? In anywhere near immigration, okay? Now, if you look at the other trend that you will see, right, is where people now rent out rooms, right? I think Johor Bahru used to be very popular for room rental, again typically for Malaysians working in Singapore, right? In Singapore nowadays we call this co-living, right? The co-living trend, right? People have condos or HDB, then they cut up into a few rooms, right? So this co-living concept now also in R&F. You can see master room 1,007, common room 1,005, right? And then I see common room times 4,004. If you rent out by room, of course your rental is higher, so you have a lot of owners, right, who are trying to do this to try and raise their rental yield. Okay, this is phase 1, right? We're talking about phase 1 because only phase 1 is completed today. The phase 2 in R&F, which is the one I'm going to talk about later, is under construction, right? It's not completed yet. So phase 1 alone now, we have all this fantastic rent. I think it's the highest rental in JB right now. I'm quite sure, right, that on JB rental improved a lot this past 6 months. Okay, but really R&F has the highest rents in Johor right now. Right, highest rents, right? And this will go higher when MRT is ready in 3 years' time from now. Okay, so what's the MRT or what's the RTS, right? Some of you may, like I said, if you're new to my videos, new to this topic, right? RTS is the MRT, right? It's called Rapid Transit System. We like to joke and call it Road to Singapore, right? It's a joke, right? Road to Singapore, right? But it's actually Rapid Transit System, right? But I don't like the word Rapid Transit System because people get blur, right? It's not a common word, but it's basically MRT, right? This photo here is MRT. So it's an MRT, right? Basically linking Woodlands to JB, right? And you can see like City Square is here for those of you who are familiar with JB, right? So Woodlands North, so the connection point in Singapore is Woodlands North, which is part of the Thomson line. Completed already. This MRT is completed. So Thomson North MRT is somewhere here. It's next to Republic Poly, right? And it crosses the water, the Johor Causeway, and it ends up crosses past City Square, and it lands up in this old car park. This photo was taken many years ago when this place was still a car park. So this car park site will be where the MRT station will be. It's somewhat diagonally opposite City Square and Komtar JBCC. For those of you who are familiar with JB, right? It used to be a car park, so now this car park will become an immigration, the new immigration building for the RTS station, right? So if you want to go into detail, there's actually 3 buildings. One is the MRT station itself. One is a transport hub. So this is where all the buses and cars will come in, drop off, and pick up passengers. And of course, there's a new immigration building as well, right? And so if you look at some statistics, right, I don't know whether you know, the JB Singapore crossing, right, is one of the busiest. It's probably the busiest in the world. Actually, no one really measures this, but we at our numbers today, 350,000 people travel daily. It's actually more than the Shenzhen-Hong Kong border. The Shenzhen-Hong Kong border just does under 300,000 only, but we are actually above that. So we are probably the busiest border crossing in the world, yeah, not just in Asia, in the world, right? And people, of course, in JB, in Singapore, right, some people leave as early as 4, 5 a.m. Nowadays, I think 5 a.m. are not as bad as before to cross the border, right? With the MRT in place, right, a trip should now take only 6 minutes, right? Take only 6 minutes, right? And yeah, and the MRT is built, the RTS, right, with 10,000 people per direction. That means one way, 10,000 people per direction per hour, okay, per hour. So 10,000, all right? So, and of course, single immigration, I will explain this later. What is a single immigration? Basically, the idea is that Singapore and Malaysia immigration will be on one side so that you can cross the border faster, right? This is one of the problems, of course, is not just travel time, but the immigration process. So by single immigration, what we mean is that we're going to have a single immigration, Singapore and Malaysia immigration on the same side, right? To hasten the immigration process. There's a slide on that I'll show you later, right? This is not a new system, yeah. Actually, if you set on the London, Paris, Eurostar, the fast train, right, between London and Paris, they also have a similar concept. That means the UK and French immigration on one side. Okay, so and last, of course, when is the RTS completed? The target date is the Q4 of 2026, which is roughly 3 years from now. Okay, 3 years from now. Okay, so if in case you don't know where this connects in Singapore, we are referring to Woodlands North, right, which is part of the Thomson line. This one already opened in 2020, right? Phase 2 already opened in 2021, and now Phase 3, you can go all the way to Marina Bay, right, today, right, from this train. So now the interesting thing is, right, if you look at this, of course, there's the Phase 4. The Phase 4 is the one where they go all the way East Coast, right? I understand some part of it will open by this year. Someone told me it was this year. I don't know whether that's correct or not. This year or next year, right? You will go all the way to Bayshore, Siglap, Marine Parade, Katong, right, which is interesting. Okay, so if you take note, right, when this happens, basically there will be an MRT from JB, go to Woodlands North, and from here, right, you can go all the way to, you know, Bishan. This is all Bishan, what? Then you can enter Orchard Road and Marina Bay. Can you imagine direct train? I repeat, direct train from Orchard or Marina Bay to JB. Train, one direct train, right, from Orchard or Marina Bay to JB. Just imagine the possibilities to Johor Bahru property, especially when you're near MRT, when this happens. Okay, direct train from JB to Orchard, Marina Bay, and eventually even to East Coast. Okay, this is the potential of what we're trying to say, the property investment potential for this, right? So yeah, so if this is with the MRT, the total entire MRT map, and you see I draw here, right? This red dot is the RTS linking to JB. Okay, so imagine this. So there's two ways to look at it. One is everybody in Singapore can now take train to JB, right? Going to JB now is a pain. It's a pain, right? Everybody knows this. Massive traffic jam sometimes, especially on weekend or public holiday, right? And if you take public transport, the bus, right, you have to go down the bus, go up the bus. It's tiring, right? You will sweat. By the time you cross the border, you're tired, right? So it's a lot of work, right? So you can do by train now, right? That is so much easier, yeah, right? It's so much more convenient, so much easier. And my opinion, a lot of people in Singapore can now travel to JB easier, right? A lot of people in Malaysia can now travel to Singapore easier. It's a win-win for both sides. Singapore government get a lot of Malaysians for working population, for example. Singaporeans can go to JB as well for lower cost, right? And I think this is a big plus point to both countries. Singapore and Malaysia will benefit immensely, right, when this is ready, right? So think about it. The entire Singapore MRT network connected to JB. JB connected to the entire Singapore MRT network. This is what the potential we're talking about, okay? So some artist impressions. Basically, it's the Singapore MRT, right? Look at this. This is like any Singapore MRT station you see, right? Right. Platform also look like a Singapore MRT station, right? Whether it's arrival or departure, yeah, it's like any Singapore MRT station, right? Of course, there'll be an immigration complex because you're crossing border. So this is what I'm going to talk about in terms of single immigration. Now you follow the numbers, right? So you look at number 1 first. You drop off, then you enter to number 2. Number 2 is the Malaysian immigration. So you chop your passport at the Malaysian immigration. Now take note that you go upstairs, it will be the Singapore immigration. So there will be Singapore immigration officers in the same building as the Malaysian guys. So they will share the same building. So the idea by doing this is, after you chop Singapore immigration, you already clear both immigration. When you enter the departure platform, number 4, and you take the train back to Singapore, right, there is no more immigration on Singapore side because you clear both of them. You did both of it in JB at that time. So vice versa. So from Singapore, you clear Malaysian immigration and Singapore immigration. So Malaysian immigrations will have some stuff in Woodlands as well. So for the vice versa trip. So when you come back from Singapore, number 5, you have no more immigration already. You come to number 6 car park or to the drop-off, number 7, right? So the idea by doing so is you cut short the queue. Instead of queue twice, you only queue once, right? Or at least very almost simultaneously, you come out of one immigration, you go to the next immigration, right? That is the idea. So this is a much more efficient way of processing the passport, okay? And this is something that they're going to implement for the MRT, the RTS coming up. So not only train, you have a much simplified immigration process as well. So, okay. So who is the target market? By and large, a lot of the target market that we're talking about here is the Malaysians who are working in Singapore. People like me, right? But if you look at World Bank data, right, technically today there are over 1 million Malaysians in Singapore. I think some estimates as high as 1.2, 1.3 million. Singapore today has a population about 5.6, 5.7 million. So actually 1 in 5 are Malaysian. So if you look at every 5 people in Singapore, 1 is a Malaysian, right? So that's a lot, right? 20% of the people you see in Singapore today are Malaysians, right? So these people, they may be priced out of Singapore property, or they cannot buy HDB because they don't qualify, right? So these people have to stay in JB, right? They earn Sing dollar, they have the buying power because they earn Sing dollar, but they not necessarily can buy Singapore property. So where do they buy? They will buy in JB, right? And I've always said this, right? The problem that Johor Bahru faces as economy, that Johor faces as economy, is connectivity, right? We have a connectivity problem that prevents further economic spillage into Iskandar, Malaysia, right? If you can fix connectivity problem, you can reduce the travel time, right? Iskandar, Malaysia, Johor Bahru will boom, right? Will boom. So RTS is the next step to fixing connectivity. There will be definitely one surge in the economy of Iskandar in Johor once the RTS is completed. Okay, because more and more people can travel, more Sing dollar can be spent in Johor, right? More Malaysians can earn Sing dollar in Singapore, right? That can only be good for Johor. Okay, so on the flip side, right, a lot of Singaporeans do not drive, right? Cars are damn expensive in Singapore, right? Cars are very expensive, right? COE alone is $100,000 today, right? So, and if you want to travel to JB, take bus is a pain. Like I said earlier, taking bus is a pain. So a lot of Singaporeans don't drive. Take bus is a pain if you want to go JB. So MRT will allow a lot more Singaporeans to go to JB, right? And spend money in JB, live in JB, work in JB, do business in JB, vice versa, right? And again, that can be good for Johor Bahru as well. So yeah, by virtue that lots of Singaporeans don't drive, and the train will be a lot more convenient. Okay, so as I mentioned, as the border open, we've seen a lot more cross-border travel, right? And Johor Bahru economy has recovered, right? Yeah, and if you look at this, right, this is an article in the Straits Times, right? This came out in when this came out, January, right? Showing that HDB rents are so high that a lot of Malaysians have pushed back to work in JB. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you guys know this, right? If you're watching this video from Singapore, rents in JB have been rents in Singapore have been sky high recently, right? So a lot of the Malaysians who used to rent in Singapore, they have to go back to JB. And furthermore, now the borders open already. So with the border open, they can go back to stay in JB, right? So last time they were forced to stay in Singapore because border closed. But now because our border reopened, they can now choose to go back in to JB, right? And if you look at the article here, right, in the article itself, they highlight as the example is R&F. You know, R&F Princess Cove is very popular among those who work in Singapore because it is only a 10-minute walk to the CIQ complex, right? It used to pandemic. During COVID, it used to cost 1,200 to rent a studio. Today, it's about 2,000, right? So rents have jumped a lot, right? And this is from Straits Times in Singapore, okay? And even though rents have gone up, people say that, I mean, they will likely will not surpass sky high rents in Singapore, which is true. Yeah, Singapore rents will always be higher than JB, right? That is for sure. Okay, so the other thing is from the purchase price themselves. Now I used $300, right? Because if you use 1,000 ringgit per square foot, roughly it's about $300 Sing. You compare to private condo prices in JB, you can see prices are damn big difference, right? And you know, 1/3 of Woodlands prices, 1/3 of Jurong, 25% of Jurong price, right? If you compare to Marina Bay or in Orchard, right, we are talking about what, 10 times difference, right? Now, JB price is never going to surpass Singapore. I repeat, JB price is never going to surpass Singapore. Singapore will always be more expensive. And that is fine. That is correct, right? But today at 300 Sing per square foot is too low. The difference is too big, right? And to me is, if JB price even jump $100 or $150, right, that's a big jump, right, in percentage, right? And I think that is fair, right? Maybe half, 60% of Singapore, right? I think that is where a correct price for JB will be. So it's a lot of upside potential, right, for property prices, especially when you can reduce travel time, improve connectivity, right? And this example, it has always been shown in Shenzhen, right? We always like to talk about this in Shenzhen, China, right? So Shenzhen, same thing, proximity to Hong Kong. So Shenzhen transformed from this to this, right? Of course, Shenzhen has one thing that they have today, which is MRT. Like this MRT has been here for ages. Yeah, I think this MRT got more than 20 years for you, right? Connecting Hong Kong to Shenzhen, right? If you take an MRT from Sim Sa Sui, right, to Shenzhen, it's about 45 minutes, right? So same thing. I mean, if you take an MRT from central Singapore to JB in the future, I think also roughly will be about 45 minutes, right? And Shenzhen prices have boomed because Hong Kong is so expensive, right? A lot of spill over into Shenzhen, right? Common. So same thing will happen here. Singapore price too expensive, spill over into JB, right? And this is a very common problem. This photo, whether taken this year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's the same photo, right? Traffic jam, right? So it can only show one thing. Demand is pretty high, right? Demand for cross-border travel between JB and Singapore is pretty high, very, very high. And we hope the MRT, the RTS will resolve this problem. Okay, so, and this is another slide that I like to compare, right? Singapore property prices based on MRT location, right, to where JB property prices, and you can see how much potential we are looking at. Okay, so some construction photos. So this photo taken from YouTube. These guys, SCM Southern Corridor, they have done a fantastic job in taking a lot of drone photos, right, of the MRT RTS construction progress. This one was taken in April. You can see construction going on, right, on the depot site, the Wadi Hana depot. This is the depot for the MRT station in JB, right? This is the photo of the viaduct. Viaduct is basically the one over the water, right? So this is from the JB view looking towards Singapore, right? This one is the Singapore view looking towards JB, right? You can see the construction progress. Singapore government have already issued, I think, easily 3-4 contracts. Malaysia side also, I think, at least 3-4 contracts already, right, for construction, right? This is the viaduct as well, but deeper inside, right, on the overland area. And this is the station construction on the Woodlands north side, right? This one also taken in April, just about 1-2 weeks ago. Okay, so if you look at this is basically the scale model of the Singapore building, right? So the RTS station in Singapore will look like this, right? This is a photo that most people have not seen. I was privileged enough to go to the office, right, at Woodlands North, and I took a photo of this to show you how the model will look like. It's a very nice looking building. Singapore like to build all these nice buildings nowadays, right? So this is what it will look like when you completed 3 years from now. Singapore RTS station. Okay. Now, in March, about a month ago, Minister Iswaran from Singapore side mentioned RTS completed 45%, on track to complete 2026. This is from Singapore side. Malaysia government also issued a similar statement. They are roughly completed around 33% as of March, right? So so far construction, so far so good, right? 2026 completion, right? So for those of you who still like, don't know whether this has been built, if just read this news, right? You can go Google it yourself if you don't believe me, right? And definitely if you go to Woodlands today, you cross the border today, you can see this being built, right? Okay, so back to the R&F itself. So I hope I've covered some background about why you should buy R&F. So, but like I said, today's video is actually going to talk about R&F in a bit more detail, right? R&F Princess Cove. So why R&F, right? Now, developer have this slide, right? They didn't used to have this slide. Maybe it's a bit too small, but I will explain to you why I feel this slide explains in quite some important details, right? So number one is, of course, border crossing, right? I already mentioned this earlier. Busiest border crossing in the world, and we're going to have an MRT, right? That will improve connectivity. And MRT is the biggest selling point for buying R&F Princess Cove, okay? But is it the only selling point? So this is where you come to 3 and 4, right? Where you have the sheltered bridge that makes your travel to the MRT station easier, right? Sheltered, right? Everybody in Singapore, so if you want MRT, you want sheltered walk to your condo, right? So that you don't, under rain, you can still cross, right? So 650-meter sheltered walk to MRT back to R&F, and you have a shopping mall, right? So it's also integrated development. Now in Singapore, also very heng, right? Very popular to buy integrated development, right? Everybody wants shopping mall convenience downstairs. So R&F also got shopping mall, right? And this shopping mall has today has an operating supermarket, right? They have a cinema as well. There are some other shops, right? So you have integrated development. You have all this convenience downstairs as well. Some restaurants, right? So Burger King, I saw that day. So some coffee shops as well. So this is important selling point too. The convenience of an integrated development. You're not just a condo, right? Downstairs you have food, groceries, cinema as well, right? Next is freehold. Now Singapore is quite difficult to buy freehold project. Freehold project normally in Singapore very expensive. So Malaysia you can buy freehold. So R&F freehold, yeah, freehold. Okay, and this project is by a Chinese developer, R&F Development. They are from Guangzhou, right? They are a top developer in China. So far, all construction project they have done in Malaysia, overseas, and even in China, no issue, right? So I think developer risk is not there. This developer quite big, right? And it will finish the project for you. Next one is Opera House, right? Number 7 to 10. So Opera House is another interesting entertainment because it's a landmark in JB, right? I think I'll talk about more about the Opera House later. Yacht Club. So you have some yachts there, right? You come and visit me, you meet to JB on my official trip to R&F. Maybe we get a chance to sit on the yacht also, right? Marina Place, so this is where they have some retail facing the water, right? Today there's a very nice wine bar for those of you who drink wine, right? As well as a very nice Chinese steamboat restaurant just completed. And I saw also another what you call barbecue restaurant just opened recently in the R&F Marina Place. This is just underneath the Opera House, facing the Yacht Club. Okay, and number 10, R&F actually owns quite a number of 5-6 star hotels in China. They actually bought a portfolio of hotels from Wanda Group a few years ago. So there is a plan to develop a Hyatt hotel in R&F. Later I show you the site, if I remember, right, where they want to build a Hyatt hotel. Of course, it's not going to be built in the short term, right? Because JB today, we have a lack of 5-star hotels, right? I don't know whether you guys realize this. JB only have at most some 4-star today. The 5-star in JB, I don't think there's any, or there's no new nice 5-star, right? Or what we call 6-star standard hotel. So R&F intend to build one. But that is a future plan for R&F, okay? But all these kind of developments will give you some idea of potential upside, potential catalysts to keep your investment in R&F good value and improving, okay? Yeah, so this is a more recent shot. Now, if you see in this recent photo, drone photo, right, you can already see that the phase 2 right over here has been completed. The tower top already done, right? Tower top already done. Right, and right now they're doing the internal M&E and of course the finishes. Okay, and you can actually see in this photo also, actually when this photo was taken, the RTS viaduct also can start construction already over here. Okay, so in case you don't understand, right, this is the immigration building if you follow my mouse, right, this is the sheltered walk to the immigration building. Okay, now these blocks over here circled by my mouse, right, is the phase 1, which is already completed existing today, right, and this is the phase 2. Which is this, basically 1, 2, 3, 4 towers over here, and this is the Opera House. Okay, so the 5-star hotel, if it's going to be built or when it's going to be built, will be over here at this tree over here, this spot. Now phase 1 is like 99% sold, right? There are some balance units, but they are generally what you call not so nice unit, right? But if you want to buy phase 1, there are actually a few balanced units left, right? So generally what we are marketing today, I'm an official agent for R&F. If this is not clear yet, I do sell this project, right? If you're interested to buy, do come and find me, drop me a comment or a PM below. I will, we can have a private chat about this project, right? So generally what we're selling today is the phase 2 over here. Will there be future phases? Yeah, actually this plot of land on the right over here, right? This is the future phase 3, phase 4, but I think right now they are quite far ahead in the future. Don't think they'll be launched anytime soon. Okay, so here around 1,900 units, there'll be another 1,000 plus units over here. So yeah, so this is the phase 2 that we are selling right now. Now, if you ask me, my personal opinion, phase 1, phase 2 are the best to buy because you want to be as near to the link bridge as possible. The moment you enter future phases, from here, we're very far to walk away. I think you're going to walk over a kilometer to get to the MRT, right? The plan they have for this, there'll be a shuttle bus, right? But for phase 1, phase 2, I think it's still walkable distance to the link bridge to get to the immigration to the MRT, right? The other thing that I feel why phase 1, phase 2 is a good buy is because you're going to be the nearest to the water, right? The best sea view, like for example, you buy all these units facing water, right? You'll be unblocked. Cannot be blocked already. There's nothing to block you. So like all these units which are sea view facing, they have a premium, right? If you face non-water, is cheaper, right? But if you can afford to buy premium, I suggest you buy the premium sea view, because in the future, right, especially in a project that has a lot of units like this, it's better to own a premium unit when you can, if you want to sell or get higher premium value, right? Otherwise, but if you're purely going for rental, then maybe sea view not that important, right? But if you're going to buy for own stay and you want to go for max capital appreciation, I think the sea view is something definitely worth considering. Right? The sea view from here, not so bad, right? It's quite nice to look into the water into Singapore. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Phase 1 is over here. Phase 2 is over here. So what we're going to sell or market a lot is going to be phase 2. We're going to talk about phase 2 quite a fair bit. Okay, so yeah, I talked about this already. So freehold title, right? And this is where the MRT will be, right? The link bridge, which I mentioned earlier, covered sheltered walkway to the immigration, to the MRT, right? This is the first opera house in Johor Bahru, right? It's called the Zarif Sofia Opera House, named after the Sultan Ibrahim's wife, right? So it's the Sultana for Johor, right? It's named after her, and it's quite nice, right? So I can see it's something modeled like something out of the Sydney Opera House. So they had some shows here already. This is the internal shot, right? I've been to performances here before, pre-COVID. It's not very big. I think Esplanade is bigger, right? Singapore Esplanade is bigger, but not so bad. I mean, if you want to run shows and stuff, this is really very good enough, right? They recently had the 24 drums performance, right? And I think it's ongoing now. They're going to do one every month for the next few months, among other shows, right? The 24 drums is a JB made in Johor Bahru kind of cultural attraction, right? It's quite fun. You should attend it if you haven't already, right? These are some photos taken from their Facebook, right? Drum Up JB, right? Very popular thing, made in Johor, cultural thing. If you should go attend if you haven't done so already. This is the photos of the marina, the boardwalk. If you join me on my property tour, we're going to do a property tour to JB very likely in July, early July, after the June school holidays. I'm trying to do after June school holidays because I get traffic jam during school holidays. So we'll do this in early July. You come with me, maybe we have a chance to get on a boat. I'll bring you guys on the boat, go take a look around, and we'll take the boat to the RTS. You can see the RTS construction. Fun, right? So come and join me on my July trip if you can. July 2023, if you're watching this before that, right? This is a sunset shot, right? Yeah, there's a very nice walkway. You come in the evening, it's quite breezy here, right? Nice breeze. This is the mall. The mall is around 800,000 square feet, quite large, right? It's owned by the developer. They didn't sell it by strata. So the mall is controlled by R&F itself. This is the tenant list prior to COVID. But let me be honest and be frank about you today. Today, due to COVID, during the COVID pandemic, a lot of retail customers were hit, especially in Malaysia, especially in Johor, right? Because Johor economy depend a lot on Singaporeans. So when the border closed for almost 2 years, right? I would say easily half of these shops, maybe more, have closed down, right? But this is not only R&F problem. Actually, a lot of malls, a lot of retail shops in JB had this problem. So I can say if you go to R&F shopping mall today, there is what you call a process of renewing tenants, right? I think a lot of tenants are moved out, then some tenants are coming in, right? This is what's going on at the R&F mall today. But I think one thing good about R&F is that we have seen that they have done a lot of effort to try and get new tenants, right, for the shopping mall, right? So I think don't worry, right? You'll definitely see new tenants coming in. There are already some coming in today, but the supermarket, Jaya Grocer is still there. The cinema are still there. So I think these are the important tenants, right? Anchor tenants that are important to keep the mall alive, right? Right. So these are some photos pre-COVID of the mall. Pre-COVID, right? Yeah, this supermarket, Jaya Grocer is still there. It's important, right? Because people, if you stay in integrated development, I think supermarket is normally one of the more important components that you need in an integrated development. So Jaya Grocer is still there, right? This cinema is still there. Okay, so let's go to the condominium itself. So this is a full condo facility. So there's swimming pool, gym, right? This is the garden area on the facilities floor, right? For jogging, for walking, right? This is the pool area. So I think it's a number of pools because we have so many units, right? They have like those function room, the library area as well, right? There's also a games room. There's a gym, right? We have a sauna, right? And these are photos of the interior unit. This is phase 1 photo. But phase 1 and phase 2 are quite similar in terms of interior design. So you'll notice that this developer, they provide the porcelain tile, but at least it looks like this kind of marble like feel, which is nice, right? Different, right? Give it a bit of class, right? And they have this wooden frame to the kitchen, which I like also, right? Which gives it a bit of style to the unit, right? So these are some photos, and this is the actual photo for the bathroom, right? So you will get a bathroom something like this, right? When you hand over. So and in Malaysia, they don't do induction so much for R&F, so you're gonna get a gas hob and hood, right? For the project, right? Okay, so if you want to buy R&F Princess Cove, what are your options? What can you buy? What are the sizes, right? So let me go through in a bit of detail. So if you look at phase 2, right? So these are the tower names. So basically, like I said, there's 4 towers, right? The B1 tower, the B2 tower, B3, B4, right? They call it B3A, like. No, Malaysia don't want to use the word 4. So within the B1, there are 3 sub towers, right? So B11, B12, B13. Yeah, it may be a bit confusing if you watch it as a start, right? So similarly here, there's B21, B22, B23. Tower 3, tower 4 only got 2 towers, okay? So yeah, so there's a number of towers here. So of course, the best units are whatever that are facing the sea. Now this project, right, today is roughly 70+% sold, right? Because actually phase 2 launched during 2018, I believe. So actually it's around 70+% sold today, right? And selling fast, right? As I mentioned, these past few months, you'll be very surprised. A lot of Singaporeans, people from Singapore are buying JB property recently. I know it's not really in the news yet. Maybe you don't believe me. You think I'm bullshitting you, right? But it's true. A lot of people are buying project in JB right now. Prices are good. There's a lot of stock clearance going on. So and this is of course the Opera House. Okay. And to me, if you're buying for investment right now, you have 2 options. The options just buy and rent out yourself. Also can, right? You have a bit more control. Option 2, I think, is they have this GRR package. Okay, GRR is guaranteed rental return. So guaranteed by the developer. You sign a separate contract with R&F for the rental. So they will manage for you for 3 years and pay you 6% per annum on the net price. Okay, 6% per annum. Yeah, not bad, yeah. For 3 years, right? And you take note that 3 years are just nice is until MRT completed. Right? So by the time your 3 years package is over, right? MRT in JB will be completed. Great. So that's a good time to sell also if you want to consider selling, right? Or at least by then you can expect your rental to be better as well. So and 6% of course is a pretty high return, right? So but it's only available in the B11 block. So B11 block is a bit more expensive because they consider B1 block as the most expensive block, right? So anything in B1 area is more expensive than B2, more expensive than the ones at the back. So B11 prices are a little bit higher, but you do get the GRR package. So to me, if you want to buy for investment, I highly suggest the B11 GRR units because they will manage for you and you have a rental return 6% for 3 years. If you're going to buy for own stay, then actually depends somewhat on your budget and which units you like. As I mentioned, I still believe if you can budget permitting to buy whatever that is premium sea view facing, which is only going to be available in phase 2 right now because phase 1 is at the back, right? Phase 2 is nearer to the sea, right? And have unblocked view, cannot be blocked in the future. So although there's some premium to buy sea view, but I think it's worth it, right? To buy. Okay. So prices in general are like that. So when we say studio, it's around the cheapest I can see now is about 624K. And this is from 1-bedder, 2-bedder to the dual key types, right? Okay. So from of course there's more expensive, right? It can be cheaper if you buy cash. Now R&F being a Chinese developer, they have this practice where if you buy cash, and we say buy cash means you pay everything like one shot pay in 1 month or 6 months, right? They have a discount. So if you buy cash, you can actually pay lower than this, right? So cash buyer have some further discount, right? If you take loan, right? Malaysian banks, we're talking about Maybank, ICBC, Bank of China, right? And RHB is upcoming. They will lend you at 80%, right? Of the purchase price. So you can get 80% financing for the purchase. Singaporeans included, right? Singaporean take loan from Malaysian bank. If you're worried about sometimes currency risk, right? Take a loan. You take a Malaysian ringgit loan, then there's a natural hedge against currency, right? So you can take a loan 80%. Interest rates today in Malaysia around 4.6. I think a little bit higher than Singapore, right? But around the same. Now Singapore also 4%, right? So yeah, so these are the general prices for what you want to buy. And you will notice that on a per square foot basis, we're talking roughly 1,000 ringgit per square foot. The smaller units, I think over 1,000, right? But bigger units could be nearer to 1,000 per square foot, ringgit per square foot. So like I said, just under 300 or $300 Sing per square foot. Freehold. Okay. What else? Okay, so what else in the package? So legal fees on the sales and purchase are free, right? You must use your panel lawyer. If you're a foreigner, you may have heard about this 2% levy. Now developer will pay this for you if you're a foreigner, so this absorbed. You only get one car park though. This is one of the small drawbacks, right? So whether you buy studio 1-bedder or 4-bedder, you only get one car park. If you want further car park, have to rent from management, right? As I mentioned, cash buyer discount. Booking fee is around 5,000, so you place a 5,000 ringgit booking fee, and thereafter you go to the loan application process, right? If you're going to apply for a loan, or you can sign the S&P if you're going to buy cash as soon as you can. Once the cash is ready, you can pay the cash in either 1 month or 6 months to get the cash discount. Okay, 80% financing available. I mentioned this already. The loan application process in Malaysia is similar to Singapore, so they'll ask for your pay slips, your bank statements, right? Your CPF, your income tax declaration. They want to see a copy of your credit bureau in Singapore. You can download that online. So the loan process in Singapore and Malaysia is similar. Malaysian banks will lend up to age 65 or 70, so you can get 35-year loans if you are younger, right? Depend on age, right? So actually the mortgage process in Malaysia and Singapore are quite similar. Okay. So what does the unit come with? Kitchen cabinets are provided, so gas hood and hob, one oven, there's a lighting cove in the living hall, right? Air conditioning provided for all bedrooms in the living. Master bedroom has a wardrobe. Bathrooms are fully fitted with WC sink mirror, right? And porcelain tile flooring, engineered timber in bedrooms. Okay, I think quite standard, very similar to a Singapore condo, but normally Singapore condo nowadays they give a lot of additional electrical items, right? This one not so much, right? But finishes are very similar to a Singapore condo. Yeah, and build quality is okay. Right, let's talk about layout plan. This one is a 1-bedroom unit, right? This is the floor plan. So with a balcony, open kitchen, right? The bathroom somehow does not directly connect to the bedroom, but I think that's a small issue, right? Decent size, 544 square feet, right? There's only one layout, I believe, for 1 bedroom, right? There is a studio which I didn't put here. Okay, this is the 2-bedroom, 1 bath, one of the layouts. So they have an enclosed kitchen. 1 bathroom only shared by 2 bedrooms, but this also not so bad in a sense that you can potentially rent to 2 tenants, right? If you're going to do co-living, so 1 tenant here, 1 tenant here, they unfortunately have to share the bathroom. But otherwise, if you buy for own stay, this is also cool because you get enclosed kitchen, right? You can convert the 2nd bedroom into a study or storage, right? Which I think is most people, you can buy for this with a storage, not storage, for a study, right? And very decent living and dining, which is separated from the kitchen, right? 2 bed, 1 bath. Right, like I said, also suitable for rentals if you want to do it that way. This is the 2 bed, 2 bath. So this one is in the Singapore very famous dumbbell layout, right? So 1 bedroom on the left, 1 bedroom on the right with their own bath. So this again is very suitable for rentals. Everybody have their own bedroom and bathroom, right? And balcony and closed kitchen as well, right? This is the 4-bedroom layout. So the 4-bedroom layout, interesting. They have a foyer though. Like you see the entry here. This is not typically a foyer area, and this is normally an open window. You can close if you want, right? But this is the open foyer where you can put shoes and some stuff. China, they have this quite common, right? You enter, there's a kitchen, enclosed, dining and living with a balcony, and 4 bedrooms. Yeah, some people I've seen it done before. They convert the bedroom 4 and bedroom 2. They merge it together into 1 big room. That can also be done, right? And you will notice that bedroom 3 is ensuite, has its own bath, right? It's a junior master as well. Right, interesting layout. This is actually a same layout from phase 1, so I've seen this before, right? 1471 square feet, quite big, yeah. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the GRR units for those of you who are buying for investment. Now, the 6% per annum actually today is higher than market rate, So, but developers do this because I think they wanted to have some buyers like to have this option, right? Because they are from overseas, like for example from Singapore or from China or from Japan, right? They buy property, they don't have time to manage, so they prefer something that has a rental return option. So that's why this B11 block, right, has a 6% per annum, which is a good price. And actually, I checked, right, if you buy this GRR unit and you get 80% loan, you actually cash flow break even. In fact, positive a bit, positive around 100 plus ringgit. Okay, cash flow positive, very small cash flow positive, right? If you get 70% loan, in fact, I think you break even on your bank installment already. You just have to pay maintenance fee. That one's out of pocket, right? Maintenance fee, some property taxes, that one's still out of pocket. But your bank loan, you already break even at 70% loan. So So I think it's a good deal, 6% per annum, separate contract. The GRR period starts 3 months later after key collection because you have to give them 3 months to do the renovation and the furnishing, right? And owner do have to bear this furnishing cost, which is estimated over here, right? R&F will send you the actual bill later when they do get keys, right? But this is the estimated furnishing. Yeah, and this is quite realistic today, right? Then people ask me, right now I must pay additional more, right? But if you ask me, even if you buy non-GRR unit, right, you still have to buy furnishing. I mean, you still have to buy furniture if you want to rent out, buy bed, buy, table and chair, put some lights, put some curtain. So to me, it's whether you buy GRR or don't buy GRR, this furnishing costs have to bear one, right? But basically, R&F is saying, for the GRR unit, they are not going to furnish for you. You have to, they will furnish for you, but you have to pay for it. Okay, it will not be free. So to me, is some people tell me, do I have to pay for this? But I have to pay for this, so it's like an add-on cost, right? But I mean, to me, yeah, whether GR, non-GR furnishing, you have to buy anyway. It's very difficult to rent out with no light, no curtain. You have to do that. So, okay. So, yeah. So, like I said, if it's for investment, I believe this GR is the best deal because 3 years, right? Just nice. You complete your contract once the MRT is ready, right? The RTS is ready. There'll be a big kick in the market when that happens. Okay. So, and I show you an example of the calculation. So, this is a down payment for a studio unit. You roughly need to come up with 100,000 down payment ringgit. Assuming you get 80% loan, this is your loan amount. This is how much you will pay every month. Other monthly costs basically refers to maintenance fees, property taxes. I've lumped it all up into one monthly cost, right? And this is your rental at 6%, right? Take note, you have a positive cash flow, right, of 70 ringgit. Great, right? And I assume you have a 30-year loan, right? If you get a 30-year loan. So, like I said, the good thing about the GRR is that your cash flow break even until RTS completion, right? Which I think is a good thing. Buy property, you can cash flow break even is very good. And the market will improve by then. Okay. So yeah, so that's my review for R&F Princess Cove, right? I hope that was useful. And you can see here again, this slide, I want to remind everybody the pricing differential. So if your 300 Sing become 400 Sing, you make 25% gain. It's a lot really because you take 80% loan. So it's a big appreciation in price. We're not asking for a lot. I'm not going to ask JB from 300 Sing to become 1000 Sing. Right? I think that is not happening in the short term. But 300 Sing to become 400 Sing or become 500 Sing per square foot, I think is very achievable in the next 3, 5, 10 years maybe, right? And that's a big jump itself, right? It's a good appreciation. It's a good investment, right? Like I said, if you like to buy property near MRT in Singapore, this one also MRT in Singapore, right? JB City is now a new MRT station in Singapore, right? So you want to buy property near MRT, you buy R&F because R&F is the project that is going to benefit from its close proximity to the MRT station, right? So of course, Singapore's land scarce, right? Next economic upcycle, you will see a lot of spillover to Iskandar, right? Especially as connectivity improves, travel time drops down. Okay, this is a map that shows you all the reclamation in Singapore over the years. Okay, so when MRT is completed in 2026, this will be a major boost to Iskandar, to JB. Right, so thank you very much. I hope this video was useful for you. As I mentioned, I am a project agent for R&F Princess Cove. We are quite invested in R&F Princess Cove right now. We believe it's a good project to buy. It's one of our top picks for Johor Bahru today. If you're interested to purchase, want to find out more, do drop me a comment or PM. This is my phone number, 8126-1626, or you can send me an email as well. If you want to find out more, you can also scan this QR code to join our mailing list, right? We are very likely going to run some events in Singapore soon, if not in May. This month, we're going to do it in June, right, to talk about this face-to-face, right, in Singapore, right? If you didn't watch this YouTube, or your friends you want to invite, or you want to talk to me face-to-face, ask some questions face-to-face, right? And we're going to very likely, or we actually more or less confirm, right, a property tour to JB in early July, right? For those of you who can wait, right? Otherwise, if you're interested to have a private viewing of R&F, please contact me. I'm happy to drive you into JB to go and see R&F in JB, right? Private tour of the project, right? And as I mentioned, developers been selling fast and furious. In fact, we saw the V7 type 2-bed 2-bath fully sold, fully booked. I mean, I won't say fully sold. We don't know whether all of them will get their loans, right? But fully booked in the past couple of weeks, right? I still thought we got the V7 type to sell today in this presentation, but apparently all are fully booked right now. Nothing left to buy. So yeah, I think it's a good time as ever to buy JB today because rents are high, prices are still fairly attractive, right? Freehold, and Singapore has become very expensive. There's a lot of spillover from Singapore now. So if you like this video, do like, share, subscribe to our YouTube, right? The video description has some details about all our other channels, including our TikTok, right? And like I said, do scan to our mailing list, right, to find out when our next events in Singapore that we talk about R&F and RTS in detail. So thank you very much. I enjoyed this session, and bye-bye.